Mr. Kenny Florian, and the former light heavyweight champ, Rashad Evans. Megan O'Leary is on location as well. Sugar, thanks so much for coming out for the weekend, holiday weekend.
There's no place I'd rather be than right here, right now. Well, maybe Vegas. I mean, the turn up is real out there right now.
No, for sure it is. And a happy belated birthday to you, sir.
Thank you very much. I don't like to say I'm 40 years old. I'd like to say I'm 39.95 with tax. So that's what it's about.
It's all good. Well, folks, we're going to get to the headliner right now. Ken Flo, we'll start with you. With a combined 29-0 record, this is really incredible. Either Thomas Almeida or CODY Garbrandt really going to be stepping up to contender tomorrow night.
Well, yeah, I tell you what, Thomas Almeida is so exciting as a fighter. He just has so much offense. Once he gets flowing, once he gets warmed up, he's a guy who is so hard to stop. The variety of his strikes, his ability to attack your body, then go upstairs. He can elbow, he can kick, he can knee, and he's a knockout artist.
Well, he's going against CODY, no love, Garbrandt, and really, like you said, he is actually the almost same as Almeida, and that's why this fight's going to be so interesting. You know, you have Garbrandt who can stay in the pocket and he lands those heavy shots, and when he hits a lot of guys, they go down and they don't get back up. But I mean, Garbrandt can get it done anywhere. He can take you down to the ground. He fights really good out of the scramble, but standing up is where he likes to do it. He hits you one time, he's knocking you out.
Almeida is the -165 favorite in that fight. Rashad, I want to ask you about the co-main event, though, as well. Former champ BARAO moving up to 145 for the first time in his UFC career to face former lightweight Jeremy Stephens.
And this is great for BARAO, you know, going up weight class, making the 135 weight class is really tough for him, but now he's at 145, and hopefully a lot of his skills that made him a champion transfer over, but he's going against a very tough Jeremy Stephens, and Jeremy Stephens is one of those guys, he's a hard off for anybody, you know. Dropping down to the 145 division has really been good for him because now he's finding his rhythm, and it's going to be a tough fight for BARAO.
I know you're fired up about this one too, Kenny, but especially excited to see how Hennon looks on the scale. And we're going to check that out right now as we send it back to Las Vegas, where the man calling the action is our weigh-in MC as well. John Anik, a guy you know quite well, Ken Flo. Let's check this out, see how the ladies and gentlemen look on the scale out there in Vegas.
What is up, Las Vegas, Nevada? Welcome to the official weigh-in. Thanks for coming out. How about a hand for the Octagon girls, Chrissy and Vanessa? UFC President Dana White is in the building. Joe Silva is here, the greatest living American. Brian Stan bringing up the rear. All right, let's get things going. First up, with the UFC Fight Pass prelims, we begin in the heavyweight division. Chris De La Rocha versus Adam, the prototype Milstead. First fighter to the scale, making his UFC debut, Adam Milstead.
Adam Milstead is making his UFC debut at heavyweight on a 7-fight win streak. 5 of his wins come by a KO, and he attributes a lot of his success to his teammate and training partner, Stipe Miocic, the new crowned UFC champion.
235 for Adam Milstead. And his opponent, please welcome Chris De La Rocha.
Chris De La Rocha is a correctional officer for the Washington State Department of Corrections. He doesn't have a lot of experience, but he does have a lot of potential. Moves very well for a guy his size, and he's been doing some training alongside Rick Story, who is also on this card, and said he has learned a lot about the sport by picking Rick's brain.
Oh, that one there.
All right, now we get to the featured UFC Fight Pass prelim in the bantamweight division. Aljamain Sterling versus Brian Caraway.
Brian Caraway, who's the boyfriend of current bantamweight champion Miesha Tate, is a talented wrestler and submission artist who I had the opportunity to train with when we were in Australia together. I came away very impressed with his skills and knowledge. He has used that knowledge, over 10+ years of fight experience, to be a big part of Miesha's career as a coach, and has established himself as one of the more dangerous grapplers in the 135-pound division.
135 and a half for Brian Caraway. And his his opponent, undefeated, currently ranked number 4 in the world, Aljamain Sterling.
Aljamain Sterling, the Funk Master, has gotten a lot of hype lately, being 12-0, and he's had some impressive wins in the UFC. He believes this fight with Caraway is a fight that's going to get him a title shot or fighting a top-ranked opponent. Sterling's trained with the likes of Matt Serra, Chris Weidman, and John Jones, and he believes that training alongside these guys has helped shape them to be the fighter that he is today. Seeing that kind of success, he believes that's why he is going to reach the highest level in his weight class, being a champion.
I like the LL Cool J gold chain.
On Longo especially.
Yeah,
I think it's looking real good on Ray.
I like it on Ray.
Now, Aljamain's got a lot of style. He's a fun guy to watch.
135 and a half. 135 and a hook for Aljamain Sterling.
There's a lot of hype around Aljamain, and deservingly so. You know, he's an exciting grappler style, come-as-you-go fight guy where he can get it going, punching and take you down and submit you, whatever the case may be. But he's really fun to watch. He's got that energy around him, too. You know, I think I look for him to do some really good things this fight.
Talked a decent amount of smack to Brian Caraway before this fight.
He talked a lot of smack.
Yeah, these two are ready to throw down.
Two of the best grapplers in the division right there.
There it is right there.
And the smack
there it is right there.
Yeah, show up early tomorrow, folks, to watch these fights. It'll be good.
FS1 UFC Fight Night prelims. First up in the lightweight division, Eric Newbreed Coach versus Shane Shaolin Campbell.
Shane Campbell isn't one to sugarcoat anything, and when speaking about this training camp, he said it hasn't been the best, as most of his training partners have been injured. However, he knows not to count himself out, and he said the past 2 years of fight experience will outweigh the inactivity of opponent Eric Koch.
156 for Shane Campbell. And his opponent, back for the first time in 2 years, Eric Koch.
Well, it's been over 2 years since we've seen Eric compete inside the octagon. Injuries have been the reason for that absence and has forced him to drop out of his last 2 fights. But Eric is here now and ready to get back to his winning ways. He has been training in the martial arts since he was just 4 years old. Unbelievable there. And he knew he wanted to be a fighter since he was in his early teens. Eric has an older brother as well, Keone, who is also a successful MMA fighter coach. It seems pretty fitting that he is teammates alongside UFC fighters Anthony and Sergio Pettis.
155 and a half. 155 and a half for Eric Koch. Our next bout is in the middleweight division. Jake the Prototype Collier versus Alberto Uda.
Alberto Uda is coming in this fight looking very good as far as his weight is concerned. Training alongside this guy, I had the pleasure to a while ago. And, he's one of those guys who can find a way, find a submission anywhere he can on the ground. I mean, when we trained together, he's a little guy, but he was able to, almost get me with something.
He almost tapped you?
Almost.
Well, almost.
Almost. Okay. I'll take almost.
I'm sure he's telling that story as well.
No, he's probably telling a lot different.
For Alberto Uda. And his opponent, please welcome Jake Collier.
Jake Collier has traveled to Brazil and South Korea to fight, but he said he finally feels a sense of comfort fighting here in Las Vegas. He said the short distance he had to travel, paired with his takedown defense and staying in Alberto Uda's face, will make all the difference tomorrow night.
$185 and a half. $185 and a half for the Prototype. All right, our next prelim is in the lightweight division. Abel Trujillo versus Jordan Rinaldi.
Jordan Rinaldi makes his UFC debut tomorrow night, and he actually holds a win over UFC featherweight Dennis Bermudez. He says for this fight, he's really been working on his cardio and endurance. He actually feels like he can outpace most fighters at 155 pounds.
Guy's coming in on a 5-fight win streak right now. Pretty hot.
156. 156 for Jordan Rinaldi. And his opponent, the veteran Abel Killa Trujillo.
Abel Trujillo, my teammate who I used to call no longer Abel, is now Abel again. Abel is, taking a lifestyle change, and he's become a vegan, and more importantly, he's gotten to Kundalini yoga. Wow. So every day he goes to the beach and he gets his yoga on, and I got invited to a couple sessions to go with him, and I didn't make it, of course, but it's really set him at peace because now he can exhibit the violence inside the cage, but he's peaceful within.
155 and a half.
Because Abel's kind of had an interesting life.
Abel is
Could use a little calming down.
He's a very interesting character.
This is a kinder, gentler Abel Trujillo. Maybe not in the octagon.
Not exactly.
And that brings us to our featured prelim. 2 of the top 10 bantamweights in the world. Sarah McMahon versus Jessica Evil Eye.
There's Jessica Eye. She is really hungry for a win over her opponent, Sarah McMahon. Even though they are actually very friendly with each other, both Sarah and Jessica brought each other out to their camps to help with upcoming fights. And Jessica says it will be a bit weird fighting Sarah, considering she has held her daughter and eaten together at Sarah's house. Jessica is very proud of her teammate Stipe Miocic's recent win and has given her tremendous motivation to go on a run and win the belt herself.
For Jessica Eye. And her opponent, the 2004 Olympic silver medalist, Sarah McMahon.
Well, folks, without a doubt, she is the most accomplished wrestler on the women's roster. As John just mentioned there, she won the silver medal in 2004 in freestyle wrestling. Now, she said this camp, she's actually been working a lot more on pace and knowing when to transition from grinding to being more explosive. She's gotten some extra input this time from UFC flyweight Zach Fun Size Makovsky and the highly regarded Faraz Sahabi. People might know this man. He helped make that guy GSP into a legend.
Well, if anything, that Faraz probably taught her is just being helping her with the transition from the punches to the takedowns.
$135.5 for Sarah McMahon.
Interesting stance.
I like it. I like it. Yeah, I am looking forward to that one, you guys. Welcome back to LA. You can catch the next 6 fights tomorrow on FS1, the exclusive home of the UFC, starting with a lightweight scrap between Josh Berkman and Paul Felder. Irish Dragon Felder is up first, Rashad.
Paul Felder is a fun fighter to watch in the octagon. He's got the in-your-face style. He brings a lot of pressure to his opponents, and most dangerous after he gets tagged a few times. And you know how that goes. After you get hit, you get mad and start coming at him. That's when you got that ornery redhead style. But he wins by knockouts in his takedown. He has taekwondo background, and that makes him really hard to stop with his elusiveness.
155.5. 155.5 for Paul Felder.
He's got back to his rhythm after his fight with Kirkshank, and he felt like that was missing before, but now he's back on task.
Professional fight, Joshua Berkman.
Josh Berkman plans on making the second trip to 155 pounds much easier than the first. He did that by keeping his walking weight lighter throughout training camp, and he said an easier weight cut paired with all his fight experience will have him quickly rising up the ladder at 155 pounds.
Berkman is one of the guys who I was on the show with, season 2 Ultimate Fighter, so I always got to go for Berkman.
We got a season 1 and a season 2 here up on the
Old
desk.
school.
I love it.
156 for the People's Warriors.
Berkman looks really good, man.
Another great fight.
You bring up a good point, Kenny. There's a lot of solid fights on this card tomorrow night. Really great.
Division, Jorge Gamebred Masvidal versus Lorenz the Monsoon Larkin.
Lorenz Larkin said he started training in martial arts because he was terrible at football and other team sports. I find that hard to believe, guys, because his agility and speed often sets him apart from his opponents. And Larkin isn't just athletic, though. He has a variety of weapons in his striking arsenal and can be very tough to take down. I really think Larkin made the right move going to 170 pounds. And this fight against Masvidal is going to be an entertaining one. Two phenomenal strikers here.
A sleeper for fight of the night, perhaps?
I mean, both
if Almeida and Garbrandt don't deliver?
I tell you what, both these guys bring it every time.
Fresh haircut.
171.
Sugar, what do you think of that one?
For
I love the haircut.
Larkin.
He always got a fresh haircut. He always keeps something.
And his opponent set to compete in his 40th pro fight, Gamebred Jorge Masvidal.
Jorge Masvidal, he had a tough 2015, losing a very controversial split decision, but he used those two to tighten up his game coming forward. He's about to fight Larkin, who's, Larkin, they get engaged. They're kind of like almost the same kind of fighter. They both come forward. 11 wins by KO, very confident, and look for this fight to be one of those, like you said, fight of the night.
170 and a half. 170 and a half.
I got a chance to train with Masvidal back in the day, back at Jackson, before he even was in the UFC. He came with one of my old wrestling coaches, and his stand-up has got continuously better since then. And I knew back when I seen him, he was going to be a tough guy.
Moving on now to the middleweight division. Chris Camozzi versus Vitor Lex Luthor Miranda.
Vitor Miranda's game plan tomorrow night is pretty simple. Stand a bang and hand Chris Camozzi his first ever knockout loss in his career. And with 10 knockouts to his record, that's not an impossible feat for Vitor Miranda, but he said he's not opposed to surprising Camozzi and taking it to the canvas if he feels so inclined.
Vitor was one of my old training partners at Black Zines when we first started, and had a tragedy happen to his son and he moved back to Brazil, but he was one of those guys who was one of the toughest guys in the gym back then.
Did you give him the Lex Luthor name? It's fitting. It's good.
It is so fitting.
And his opponent, please welcome Chris Camozzi.
Chris Camozzi is an MMA fight veteran of over 30 fights and was a competitor on season 11 of The Ultimate Fighter. And Chris says he has had every crappy job you could think of and never found anything interesting until he started training in MMA. He is currently on a 2-fight win streak and seems to be fighting with much more confidence lately. Everything just seems to be coming together at the right time.
$186 for Chris Camozzi.
Been able to bounce back. He had a tough go of it for a little while. Lost a few fights in a row, but you know what? Dug deep, and like you said, he's doing pretty well these days.
And that brings us to a feature bout in the welterweight division. Tarek Sponge Safadine versus Rick the Horror Story. First fighter to the scale. Welcome back, Rick Story.
Rick Story has been out for 18 months, and his career was almost over due to some bone spurs that he had in his neck canal that was messing up his vertebrae, where he almost had no strength in his arm to even lift up a jar. He said it was because of the FDA-approved, newly approved procedure that allowed him to compete, because they put in 2 discs, artificial discs in his neck, and now he says he feels better than he did when he was in high school.
Wow.
Now, I don't know if it's exactly the same, but
171 for Rick Story.
we know Chris Weidman has a similar thing where he was talking about his neck injury and really affecting his ability to move his arms and everything. Scary stuff. Maybe Chris can get that.
Well, they call Tarek the sponge because he picks things up very quickly, but his young son picks things up pretty quickly as well. You got to check out that video of his son that went viral that shows him kicking their couch. I guarantee one of those leg kicks could stop Rashad for sure. Just take it right out, Rashad. He's like 4 years old. You wouldn't be able to stop him.
I don't do
You'd
well
have to take him down, man.
I don't do well with leg kicks, so it might be able to mess me up.
But, Tarek really has taken to the philosophy and coaching style of Faraz Sahabi over at TriStar as well.
$170 for Tarek Safady. And now we get to the co-main event in the featherweight division. Renan BARAO versus Jeremy Stephens.
The hits keep coming here. Jeremy Stephens is a guy who consistently brings action, heart, and heavy hands into the octagon. Jeremy has been training alongside bantamweight champ Dominic Cruz for years down in San Diego. He's had success at both featherweight and lightweight and might be stuck between weight classes a little bit because 145 can be hard for him to hit consistently sometimes.
146
and there it is. He gets it.
He gets it right there.
And his opponent is the former UFC bantamweight champion, Renan BARAO.
Renan BARAO, this is probably the best he felt going into a weigh-in at UFC. He's making his featherweight debut, and they said it was a big decision for a team. His overall health is concerned. At one weight cut, he passed out and had to be taken to the hospital, so dehydrated, and that fight ended up being canceled, and he had to get a rematch against TJ Dillashaw. But, he's one of those guys that he has so much potential. You see him as a champion. Let me lay out for the weight here.
146.
So much potential as a UFC champion, and he could have kept the belt going. Whoa.
Jeremy just pushed him back.
Well, Jeremy has said that he thinks that Renan is broken after losing to TJ Dillashaw. So words have been exchanged, shots have been fired, for sure.
Wow, that was
BARAO was running into him. It looked like he was going to run right through him. I don't know if
Jeremy was right in front of him. It is now time to take a closer look at the men on the marquee, the two bantamweights who will share the octagon in tomorrow's main event.
Thomas Almeida versus CODY Garbrandt is a fight between two exciting, young, undefeated contenders in the UFC's bantamweight division. CODY Garbrandt is a member of Team Alpha Male. He's an excellent boxer, shows lightning fast, fluid hand techniques inside the octagon, and at 8-0 is proving to be one of the most dynamic and exciting contenders in the bantamweight division.
I would define my fighting style as sprawl and brawl. I like to sprawl and keep it standing and look for that knockout each and every punch, each and every combo that I throw.
Thomas Almeida has all the look of a future champion. We have seen Thomas Almeida overcome adversity inside the octagon against Brad Pickett. Brad Pickett had him hurt, had his nose broken, and Almeida came back and stopped him with a spectacular flying knee.
Bom, meu estilo de luta é agressividade. Eu não gosto de deixar na mão dos juízes. Então, qualquer oportunidade que eu tiver vai ser nocaute, finalização, o que for, sempre pensando na vitória.
With a win over Thomas Almeida, it can put me right into the front running for the title contention. I got to come out here and finish Thomas Almeida in a vicious way.
Bom, eu vou derrotar o CODY porque ele que está na minha frente, ele que está na minha frente para ser campeão. Eu venho extremamente focado em, se precisar, lutar os 5 rounds, mas eu acredito com nocaute.
I visualize myself finishing him either way by knockout or submission. It's going to send a huge message to the whole division that my time is now.
First fighter to the scale, CODY No Love Garbrandt.
Cody Garbrandt has not been quiet this week leading up to this fight. He's called out Almeida's record, saying that he's got padded fights, easy fights. He's even took it to Twitter, even talking about Almeida's team. They got into an altercation in the hotel. With all this taking place, Garbrandt still feels very comfortable, very confident in this fight. And this is where he likes his fight to be. He likes it to be a trash-talking, street fight style type of fighting, because that's where he comes from, the street.
135 and a half.
135 and a half for no love. And his opponent, also undefeated, number 7 in the world, Thomas Almeida.
Well, there's a reason why Almeida is undefeated, and almost all of his 21 wins are by knockout. Excitement? Check. Knockout artist? Check. Consistency? Check. The Sao Paulo native has a very aggressive style that he undoubtedly picked up training the early part of his career at Shoot to Box, and Tominhas has earned 4 post-fight bonuses already in his career. Unbelievable, because he actually only has 4 fights in the UFC. So this kid is all excitement. He has 2 bantamweight belts outside of the UFC and is on track to fight for the biggest belt of his career here in the UFC in the near future if he can keep up this scintillating performances.
136.
136 for Thomas Almeida.
He looks the part, guys. You know, he's got the confidence.
He's got amazing style points. Amazing style points here. Yeah, and Cody's been trying to get in his head all week, but Almeida seems to just stay focused and not really worried about what's going on.
Sometimes the language barrier is your friend as well, you know?
Right.
All right, folks, with that, the main event is official. Thank you all so much for coming to the weigh-in. We'll see you right back here at the Mandalay Bay for the fights tomorrow night.
All right, welcome back to the Fox Sports Studios here in Los Angeles. Everybody hitting weight, making it official. Guys, I want to talk about our co-main event, though. Let's talk about this stare down here. We got the footage of this. We talk about this. Kenny, you got even more fired up for this fight than you already were.
Well, I don't know if BARAO really realized where he was at. He came up the scale, his head was down, ran right into Jeremy Stephens, and he was like, no, you're not coming into my space. I'm pushing you back. And
he almost got pushed down.
Yeah, he did. There's a stage. He could have fallen off.
Yeah, no, that would have been bad. Dana's like, no, I don't want to lose my fight. It's going to be a solid one. It all starts tomorrow with pre-fight coverage beginning at 5:30 p.m. Eastern, followed by prelims at 7, main card at 9, and the post-fight show immediately following the main event. All of it on FS1. Well, don't go anywhere, folks. Next up, we're going to take a closer look at the bantamweight phenom Thomas Almeida and his path to 22-0. This is FS1. Stay with us, folks.
Where am I now? I was on season 3 of The Ultimate Fighter.
It's been 10 years since Tough 2. I had it all, and I lost it all.
The whole thing had kind of lost its flavor for me.
You know, I look back at that stuff, and I kind of laugh about it.
The Ultimate Fighter was where I really learned about myself.
I didn't really hate anybody. I just like getting up under their skin.
Where I'm going, I don't know, just keep watching.
Luke just won't shut up, and now we're gonna fight.
You don't fight the best.
Are you not the best? I fought you twice.
And you lost.
Not every time, Dom. Check the record, bud.
Listen, I'll knock that smug look off your face, son. I'm gonna beat him to the punch, and my hand will be raised.
I will stop Michael Bisping, and he's gonna be on the floor.
Faber, he's just trash to me.
I'm gonna whoop you, dude.
You're out of your mind.
built for battle.
I'm a better fighter.
You fool.
Come get it and see what you're made of.
The UFC is coming to Ottawa June 18th at TD Place Arena with an epic event headlined by Canadian Rory MacDonald. After his Fight of the Year performance against Robbie Lawler, #1 ranked MacDonald now faces #2 Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Plus, fan favorite Cowboy Cerrone takes on Montreal's Patrick Cote in a second thrilling welterweight bout. Tickets on